Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at Gucci Guilty Absolute pour Homme. This is one of the fragrances of which I've spoken about at the very beginning of my channel, and we're just going to take another look at it for two reasons. The first reason is I've heard some rumors about its discontinuation, and we're going to talk about that. And the second reason is I'm just simply curious to see how this maybe has changed in my perception of it. I have no idea. I did wear this a couple of weeks ago, and I even went ahead and purchased myself another bottle because let's talk about the discontinuation or lack thereof. I heard about half a year ago, I think, that this was going to be discontinued, or it was already discontinued, and I searched for it on the official websites and I couldn't find it. So I just got myself another 90 milliliter bottle, just like my last one. There's nothing different. This is still sealed. I haven't opened it. I'm not going to open it until I'm going to finish the other one. And let's just bring this one out, because I've got a little less than half from this one. So until I finish this one, I don't care enough to see how because this one is a bit newer. The bottle is made in Fabriqué en Espagne, so it's made in Spain, as opposed to my other one, which is made in the UK. There's a bit of a difference in the writing on the bottles. The new one is in silver while the old one is in black. So of course voices are going to tell you that it's changed, it's different, and let me tell you, I do not care. This is a purely synthetic fragrance, and I don't believe it's changed. If it is changed, who cares? We're not going to talk about that. So if in the next 10 years I'll finish this bottle up, I'll open that one and I will tell you if it smells differently. By that time, this should have aged beautifully. But let's get back to the discontinuation. I've searched yesterday on the Italian Gucci website, on the .com Gucci website, and it's still not there. So I couldn't tell you what's going on, to be honest. I've heard people say it's not discontinued. I've even come across a very nice video on this, and I'll link it down below, which was claiming that it's not discontinued because the person did just purchase a bottle in November. And also, I think the most important thing is for people who like this fragrance, you can still find it almost anywhere. It's on Notino. I just checked. I don't know why it's not on the official website. They don't even mention it. They don't even show it out of stock. It's just not there anymore. So let's talk about the people who like this fragrance, because this is one of the most hated fragrances ever, and let's not be silly. I can guess why this is hated. Let me start by saying that I absolutely love this fragrance. When I first smelled it, it was in a Sephora. A friend of mine told me, you have to go check out Gucci Guilty, the new Gucci, because I don't like the Gucci Guilty line. For me, it's not that interesting. But you have to check the Gucci Guilty Absolute flanker. And I did. And I was, from the first sniff, I was, oh no, this is so sexy. It smells like a car shop. It smells like, mechanics. It smells like gasoline and leather and dirty working hands. It's quite interesting, right? I could see why this would be more interesting to some people than to others. And also, I can see how this smell can be a lot off-putting to many noses, especially today. Now, for me, I grew up with Fahrenheit, which used to smell a lot more of gasoline than it does today. I grew up with the original, the only, well, not the only, because there's been an older one, Gucci pour Homme, the 2000s one, I suppose, or the 90s one. 2003, so I grew up with that. And that one smelled of burning fires, burnt rubbers. It was great. That was a statement. So when I was smelling this and knowing this is a Gucci, I said, finally, this is an audacious fragrance from a mainstream house. But Gucci, you know, Gucci has let me down a lot in recent years. But with this one, God, it's like, oh my God, we're back. Nostalgia, early 2000s, you know, that elegance, that audacity of wearing something that's not, you know, not many other fragrances smell like Gucci pour Homme, you know. I think the niche scene has changed that quite a bit. In the niche market, we get a lot more audacious smelling scents. And also, this is the same, more or less, formula that you can find. It's done by the same perfumer, Alberto Morillas, and the same fragrance from Kilian, which is Dark Lord, I suppose. I don't know if that one is still in production, but Dark Lord is 99% the same scent as this one, with the addition of a beautiful contrast in the opening, mind you, with a more outspoken jasmine. This also, because we're going to talk about the smell, this also has this, you know, it's woody. Let's talk about it now. It's deeply woody. It's industrial. It's harsh, audacious, in your face. It's something they treat leather with. Solvents, right? Industrial solvents, gasoline. However, if you take your mind off that imagery and try to think about perfume ingredients, you can tell this is mostly cypress and vetiver, which is so interesting because all of a sudden we're out of the car shop and we're into woods, you know, we're into grasses and nature. And it's such a weird trip to make because indeed it does smell foresty, it does smell piney. You know, not all people who smell this immediately think of car shops. It really depends on the nose, it really depends on your experience with fragrance. We're not all built the same. So this is deeply woody, very, very dry. And I know patchouli is mentioned, but to me, patchouli doesn't play, I mean, I don't know how to pronounce myself on the importance of the role patchouli plays in constituting this fragrance, but to my nose, I cannot pick it up, any, you know, semblance of familiar patchouli. And this leather accord, which is, it's not something you can't find. It's your typical leather accord that, you know, follows all Tom Ford's ombre leather and Tuscan leather and all the leathers, you know, most of the leathers. But what makes this special is the dryness. And I think that vetiver cypress thing is truly remarkable. Now, this also, because I did give this away a few weeks ago, and as I wore it, because I hadn't worn this for quite some time, so when I wore it a few weeks ago and when I'm smelling it now, it's definitely a lot sweeter than I remembered it. And there's also, you know, hidden among all the harshness, there's a bit of I don't want to call it a floral aspect, but there's something sweet and delicate. As I said, its counterpart, Dark Lord by Kilian. In the opening, it has this beautiful jasmine that serves as a contrast. Now, it goes away in 10 minutes time, but this served enough for me to remind me, and also to exemplify how beautiful these type of contrasts are. There's another fragrance, Francesca Bianchi, The Lover's Tale, which I've spoken about it liberally many, many times. Now, I'm not saying they're similar, they're both leather scents, but Francesca Bianchi's The Lover's Tale also has this beautiful, indolic, almost fecal, well, quite fecal actually, but very fluffy jasmine that always stays with you throughout the fragrance and always serves as a contrast between something white and pure and this harsh, dark, dry, bitter leather, right? The leather itself, I don't want to spray this because we'll be here all day. The leather in here is not as harsh as this one. This one takes the cake. This is harsher, it's drier. But this one is just more potent, and it's treated with this gorgeous iris, which it here is just, there's no such thing, right? Which makes it more suede-y here. It makes it softer. It makes it more like an embrace. It makes it more silky. But I think, now, if by any chance you can't find this anymore and you miss this, you know, this type of scent, and you want to try something a bit more audacious maybe, because this is, you know, it's indie, she has no rules to play by. You have to smell this if you haven't by now. Now, again, I'm not saying they're similar, they're not, unfortunately, because I think that Gucci Guilty is quite unique, with the exception of By Kilian. If that's still available and you want to spend, you know, 4 times this price, because you can find this for very, very cheap, something like 70 euros still. It was on sale on Notino just 1 day ago, so you can still find this. As I said, this is one of the most hated fragrances ever. I don't believe there's a good enough reason to hate on this fragrance. However, if you don't like it, you don't like it, and I could understand why. For me, it's just nostalgia, and it's the I love the idea of wearing something that's not immediately liked by all the people. I don't know, I get into these type of moods sometimes. I do love having something that's not like the others, you know, makes me feel special. And you know, there's a reason why this was called Dark Lord. This is can be quite gothic, quite demonic, inspiring, you know, imagery. But for me, it will always be car park, mechanics. Cars don't smell like this anymore. But back in my day, especially with an older car, you would get the smell of the petrol inside the car, which is, you know, if that happens nowadays, that's not a good sign. But back in the day, all cars used to smell like this. And I remember, as a child, I would get car sick just by smelling, just by getting into a car because of that smell. And when funnily enough, when I first smelled this in Sephora a few years ago, it was visceral to me. It was like almost that car sick feeling inducing, which was, you know, terribly interesting. Why am I so masochistic? Why do I love this fragrance so much? I don't know. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful fragrance. It's artistic and it is unique. And this is coming from a mainstream house, and they don't do that anymore. When Fahrenheit was launched, that was audacious. When Gucci Pour Homme was launched, that was great, you know, that still has a fan base. And this has a fan base, I'm sure, but I don't think it's quite that large of a fan base. People have been stacking up on this ever since its launch. People have been saying this is not going to stay very long on the shelf. So back to the discontinuation. I don't know if it's discontinued or not. You can try. Maybe if you have other information, do let me know. You can still find it, and that's the more important thing. Go and smell it, see what your opinion is. I know it had a flanker as well. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a lot more cypress. It was green in color, and that's discontinued. You can't find that anymore. So yeah, these were my a few years later impressions on Gucci Guilty Absolute for Men. I think it's a stunning fragrance. I think it's unique, and I think it's very much worth our time. If you have any other questions regarding this fragrance, Do let me know in the comments, and until next time, remember, fragrance creates memories, and may yours be happy.